My 24F boyfriend, 29M, is trying to be a streamer. How do I tell him it's not going to happen? Me and my boyfriend have been together for 5 months roughly. For Christmas, one of my gifts was an Xbox. A while back, I was reading something out loud to him from some gaming news site, and I mentioned that Ninja makes something like $500,000 a month on Twitch. Since learning this, he has since wanted to become a streamer. Now, every time he plays a game, he streams it. I stated in my title that he's trying to become a streamer, but he really isn't trying at all. He's just streaming what's on his screen from his Xbox with no Facecam or even a mic. He said to me that he's really shocked he doesn't have many viewers. I tried gently explaining to him that streaming/YouTube is all about your personality to no avail. He's also really camera shy and doesn't even have many pictures of him over the years, to the point where his mother gave up on trying to get him into family photos. So I don't understand how being a streamer would even work for him, or how he thinks it's a good idea. He also sits very quietly muttering an occasional fuck as he plays video games. The popular streamers he's trying to emulate have natural humor and commentary, and he just doesn't have it, if you know what I mean. He even mentioned that I should start streaming because I'm pretty okay at some games. I laughed it off and said I have no interest. In a past relationship, I have been called negative, so I didn't want to just shit all over his parade. For some background, he is in school to be an architect and has a good union job and gets paid pretty well. So it can't just solely be a money thing. This week I was doing errands, and he said he was going to go pick up his laundry and the groceries for me to cook dinner before I get there. When I did get there, he was sitting in his room in boxers streaming for no viewers, and the laundry/groceries still hadn't been picked up even though it had been 6 or so hours. This really pissed me off, but I didn't say anything. He doesn't usually play video games for that long, but now it's all he does in his spare time. We have a trip to Japan coming up in June, and he is now talking about buying equipment for his stream. Expensive equipment. My money for the trip has been put away for a month, and he still hasn't started saving for it. I am afraid that he will spend money on equipment and our trip will go to ruin. The other night he said to me happily that he has one dedicated viewer that watches every time he's on. What he doesn't know is that Twitch counts you as a viewer when you start the stream, so the follower he's talking about is himself. I just really didn't have the heart to tell him because I know how embarrassing that would be. It's become a point of annoyance every time I hear the word streamer. Any advice here? Or should I just let this Twitch dream fizzle out without my input? TLDR, my boyfriend wants to be a streamer. It's not realistic and it's making me cringe, but I don't want to be a downer, but I would like him to stop. Relevant comments. Commenter. Hey, just wanted to chime in as a man who watched his 30-year-old cousin fall down the rabbit hole of video games and mental illness. I'll preface that there's absolutely nothing wrong wanting to decompress after a long day at work, to just sit back and unwind. For some people, it's a godsend. Hell, I'll play them with my kiddo sometimes. But when you begin to abuse it, the video games that is, or really anything, that's when the problems start developing. See, for my cousin, he had just gotten out of a relationship. I had convinced my cousin that he should invest his money into a gaming PC. Asterisk, not thinking it would literally change his life. First, it started out with him playing these innocent MMOs. Star Wars. It was cool, we bonded, played for a while, and that was that. But then he started obsessing over this new universe. I would call him, he'd be on this game. I'd text him, he'd be on this damn game. After a while, I just stopped talking to him because literally the only thing he'd talk about is that fucking video game. He would play literally from the time he got up to the time he went to bed. 16 hours a day. 16 hours he would play Star Wars. A few years had passed by, and I went to visit him, and I was utterly disgusted with what I saw. Fucking dog shit on the floor, just left there. He was smoking in the house, 2 liters of Mountain Dew overflowing his garbage can. I saw him step over the dog shit while heating up leftover Hot Pockets. Just couldn't believe it. He had developed agoraphobia during this time and absolutely refused to leave the house. It got worse to the point where he wouldn't even go outside to socialize with his friends or go to the store because he'd lose his mind if he was outside for any significant length of time. It got so bad he didn't even attend the funeral of his own grandmother or grandfather, who lived 10 minutes from him. It was, and still is, fucking pathetic. He's a complete loser in my eyes. No job, no kids, doesn't have a social circle outside his virtual avatar on whatever game he's obsessed with, doesn't acknowledge birthdays of family or even send a text out. His only form of income comes from the enablement of his father, but that's not relevant. Video games completely fucked my cousin's mind. I would compare it to drugs, honestly. It can get that bad. Once someone has reached too far down, it's useless to try to snap them back to reality. Commenter. I'm sorry, Opie, but your explanation about the one viewer your boyfriend has really made me laugh. I think you should just let his dream die on its own unless it gets really out hand. which I don't think it has yet. He will likely associate you with his failure if you intervene, so save yourself the grief. Commenter: my soon-to-be ex-husband is in his late 20s and wants to be an astronaut. He's starting to realize it's not likely considering he has no college whatsoever and is kinda old. So I feel you. Update 1. Some of you may not have been around to read the comments after I posted this, but some more details on the situation that I didn't initially say were posted by me when a Redditor, who has since deleted her comments for the sake of privacy, related to me and explained how her ex was the same way and seemed to have a video game addiction. Her experience eerily mirrored mine. You can read my responses here. Yesterday after work I had to rush home to deal with some family stuff, so I did not get to sit him down and talk to him besides a 5-minute phone call and passing him at work. Today, however, my path was clear and I was determined to speak to him about this. When I woke up and showered, I checked the Xbox app and saw that he was last online 30 minutes ago at 7 a.m., which means, again, that he did not sleep at all. I didn't contact him. His day off was today, and he called me at 3 p.m. to say that he just woke up. I could hear Overwatch in the background, and he asked how my day was going, and immediately before I got to respond very angrily said, "Why the fuck won't this guy get off, Hanzo? He fucking sucks." I had a client approaching me and swiftly hung up. I called him back after work when I was walking home, and I decided to start with small talk before I got to the subject I was leading to. I didn't even have a chance to start off with the small talk before he asked me why I was slightly out of breath. I said it's because I am walking through snow up a hill. He said, "It's snowing?" It snowed heavily for quite a few hours. His place is built that you can't enter the hallway to the kitchen and front door without seeing outside. He didn't even look outside of his window at all today and has spent all day in his bedroom playing video games. This snapped me into asking him if he is planning to do anything else with his life besides play video games. He said, of course, just not right now. He had not showered or eaten at all today. I asked, and he admitted it. I asked him if he thought that was healthy, and he said with an edge, "What? Playing video games? Of course. Am I fucking smoking meth or something?" I clarified on this and just decided to say it. I said I think he has a problem. The skipping work, not sleeping or eating, and overall the pure amount of hours he dedicates to playing them. He then did what most addicts do, got angry, and then spun it back on me. He said that I bought him the Xbox in the first place. What the fuck did you expect me to do with it? And that I've been playing video games long before we were a thing. My Xbox is mostly used as a Netflix machine and to play Overwatch / the Dark Souls trilogy on weekends. I said I do not obsess with them or skip meals to play games, and that I would have never bought it for him if I knew what it would lead to. He got angry and asked if I just called to harass him. I said I called to speak to him and let him know my thoughts over the past few months. He said I was crazy, that everyone plays video games. And to whoever said that the streaming was just a decoy and an excuse to play video games all day, you were absolutely right. He feels justified in doing exactly that as long as he tells me that there's a goal to it all. I told him that my mind isn't changed and that I think he has a problem and should speak to someone. He said nothing to this. I then said that I don't feel we have anything more to really speak about and that I can't spend my time worrying about him. I feel like I am going to get hate for this, but I won't budge on it. He is not my child and I can't force a grown man to eat or go outside. I have done my research and slept on it. Many people PM'd me and commented to tell me their stories of dealing with a loved one with video game addiction, or that they were once in his shoes. This is not a battle I want to be in. He is not the person I met last year. He responded to this with a very mellow voice that he knows he's been inattentive and would like a chance to make it up to me. He said he wanted to go on a date tomorrow. I declined, and he started rambling about how perfect I am for him. I thought the same once. He kept going and said I'm being ridiculous and starting telling me the things he could be doing instead of playing video games, such as, I'm not a drinker, I don't cheat, etc. I am sad because before we dated, he really was a good friend. I said that I almost home and have to go. He stayed quiet for a while and said okay. The fact that the video game noises didn't stop during the duration of the entire phone call didn't go unnoticed by me. He only lowered the volume, but not enough. I didn't bring it up because I don't think he would get off even if I asked him to. We hung up and that was that. Luckily, I only see him in passing at work and I will now make sure to not see him at all. It's a huge building. It isn't hard. I would also like to note that I got some very pleasant PMs calling me an absolute bitch for not supporting him in playing video games. That I'm gonna regret everything when he's a famous streamer. Okay. Down to saying that I only care about him skipping work and potentially being fired because I'm in it for his money. I am prepared for more of those messages for now abandoning him, and I am still going to Japan. TLDR. I broke up with him, and you guys were right. He has a video game addiction and needs help. Top comments. Commenter. You made the right decision and handled yourself with decorum. It sucks, but you should be proud of being able to make such a tough decision. It's nice to know that you have that power in your guts. Commenter. I'm still going to Japan. Made this for me. You made the right choice, OP. Never let someone else hold you back. Update 2, alright. So it's been a week since I cut him loose, and honestly, it's been a mixed bag. First things first, yes, I am still going to Japan. I've got my tickets, my itinerary, and a list of everything I want to do without a single headset, controller, or virtual sniper in sight. My ex, on the other hand, has been apparently streaming even more, and from what I hear, it's been brace yourself for this dash intense. He went from playing in boxers and mumbling fuck at the screen to doing full production. And by that, I mean he bought a cheap, colored LED strip from Amazon, so his room now looks like a low-budget rave. I can't lie, that visual gave me a chuckle. But here's the real kicker. One of my friends, let's call her Jess, decided to check out his stream to see how bad it really was. She texted me while she was watching, saying it was both sad and hilarious at the same time. He's apparently added this motivational streamer persona thing. I don't even know how to explain it, but the vibe was like, think those cringe YouTube hustle guys who preach about making millions while selling you a $99 how to be a millionaire course. In his case, he was mumbling things like, you just gotta grind, you know? Stay consistent, hustle harder than anyone else out there. All while camping in some random corner of a virtual battlefield and getting destroyed by 10-year-olds online. I was mortified on his behalf. Oh, and the viewer count thing? Still just him. He's even more convinced now that there's a secret viewer who's loyal. Jess had to mute herself from laughing. I think he's even started calling them his ride-or-die viewer. When Jess told me that, I didn't know whether to laugh or throw my phone across the room. But here's where things went completely off the rails. Yesterday, he'd met me with what he called an epic opportunity. I knew I should have ignored it, but curiosity got the best of me. He said he'd signed up for a stream team and was now part of this group of up-and-coming streamers. He even sent me a link to this sketchy-looking website where you could pay $30 a month to boost your audience and become a star. I nearly choked on my coffee. I wanted to scream, this is a scam, but I held back. Not my circus, not my clown. I sent a polite, cool, good luck with that, and didn't reply after that. But I couldn't resist. I showed Jess, and we spent the next hour trying not to laugh at the idea of him paying some fake company just to get bot views. Now for the grand finale. Today, I ran into him at work. He looked completely out of it, like he hadn't slept or showered in days. He came up to me with this weird, intense energy, eyes a bit too wide, and said, I've had a breakthrough. I get it now. My journey as a streamer is like a hero's journey, right? First, you fail, then you get up. Fail again, get up. But each time you get stronger. He was genuinely serious, and I almost wanted to tell him it sounded like the back cover of an inspirational calendar. But instead, I just nodded and mumbled something about persistence being key. He looked at me as if I'd given him the motivation to keep going, and then he said, oh, this is Rich Dash. You were my first real follower, you know? Even if you don't watch my streams. I could not make this up. So yeah, here I am, going to Japan solo, while he's battling imaginary viewers in his self-declared hero's journey. Part of me feels a little bad, but at the same time, I'm honestly relieved to have dodged whatever chaotic mess this is turning into. As for him, who knows? Maybe he'll be the next Twitch sensation, doubtful. Or maybe he'll burn out after another month of fighting 10-year-olds on Call of Duty. But that's his problem now. I'm off to figure out how much ramen I can realistically eat in 2 weeks. TLDR, my ex is still trying to become a motivational streamer with one viewer, himself. I'm going to Japan, ending on a high note. For now, update 3. So, remember how I said I was going to Japan? Well, I was set to fly out last Thursday. Bags packed, passport in hand, playlist queued for the plane. I'd gone full solo adventure mode, thinking I was done with any drama back home. But of course, the universe had one last plot twist in store. The night before my flight, I got this frantic string of texts from my ex. Now, I hadn't blocked him. I figured I didn't need to, that he'd eventually just fade away on his own. Big mistake. The texts were all over the place, saying things like, it's all falling apart, I need you. And bizarrely, they're out to get me. I almost thought he'd been hacked. But then he called me, and against my better judgment, I picked up. What followed was a breathless, messy rant about his stream team. Apparently, he'd figured out that they were a scam, shocker, after they hit him with a premium upgrade offer for $100 a month to guarantee views and VIP streamer status. When he refused, they started harassing him, threatening to ruin his career if he didn't pay up. I almost laughed, but he sounded genuinely freaked out, talking about going dark and laying low until things blow over, as if he was some kind of spy who'd been burned. As he rambled, I just kept thinking, this guy has gone way too far down the rabbit hole. When he finally stopped to take a breath, I told him I couldn't help him and that maybe this was a sign he needed to step back and reassess his life. He got quiet for a minute, then said, in this defeated voice, "So, that's it? You're just giving up on me?" And then he threw me the absolute curveball. "Look, I know I've been in deep with this, but I was thinking, what if we go to Japan together? A fresh start. Just you and me, no streaming, no drama." Let me tell you, I nearly dropped my phone. The nerve of this man. After all the stress and absurdity, he thought he could swoop back in with a fresh start halfway across the world? I told him flat out that I was still going to Japan alone. I didn't want or need a fresh start with someone who couldn't even put down a controller long enough to see daylight. I told him it was over. It had been over, and the only thing he needed to focus on was getting his life together. He tried to argue, saying I'd inspired him to make changes, that he was turning over a new leaf. I reminded him that just 2 days ago, he was paying a scammer to help him get fake views, and that maybe a real fresh start involved some serious self-reflection without a partner to drag down with him. The silence on the other end was deafening. He finally muttered something like, "I guess I blew it, huh?" And for a second, I almost felt bad, But I just said, "Take care of yourself," and hung up. So here I am now, sitting at Narita Airport, eating my first real bowl of ramen, soaking in the fact that I'm actually here, by myself, on this trip I dreamed about without any more baggage. In the end, he didn't just become a streamer, he became a lesson. And me? I'm about to spend the next 2 weeks exploring shrines, visiting bustling markets, and trying every weird flavor of Kit Kat I can find. TLDR, my ex got scammed by a fake streaming team, tried to get me to take him to Japan as a fresh start, and I said sayonara for good. Feels good.